right, hello and welcome. This is Gotham Night Radio, our first video podcast.
And it's exciting.
Yes, exciting. And we are going to be reviewing today the Suicide Squad movie that just came out. And we're just going to give our brief thoughts, really, our review, because pretty much it was reviewed and people know that it was received negatively by critics, but I'm thinking it was pretty much widely accepted by the general audience as a good movie, as a enjoyable summer blockbuster.
Yeah, everything I've read, the fans have really liked it, just the critics.
Yeah, because going into it, I just want to say that I can tell that the critics, I can understand where they're coming from, because I feel like there was some flaws with the editing and with the story and the villain. Those are my main concerns, and we'll get into that. But I kind of wanted to start off with the pros, with what we liked about the movie first. So, Brady, what did you like the most about Suicide Squad?
I like Joker the most. He was my favorite. Just to be able to see another interpretation of him, because he's my favorite villain. And so seeing Jared Leto play a super psycho Joker instead of like a funny, campy Joker, or a not so funny, kind of like Heath Ledger's, but this one he was just way psycho. And so I really liked his portrayal of Joker. Other than that, I really liked the acting in this movie. I thought that Will Smith was my favorite actor in that. I think he did his role awesomely. He totally killed it. And then Margot Robbie, she was amazing as Harley Quinn. And then Jai Courtney, I wish he would have had more lines in the movie, because in the trailer it seemed like he was going to have a bigger part, but he didn't do a lot, and so I was kind of disappointed with that. But I thought he was a good Captain Boomerang. He actually made me like Captain Boomerang, because I really didn't like him in The Flash. He always bugged me. But I really liked just the team that they had set up for this movie. I thought Katana and Killer Croc and just everybody that they chose to be in the movie was a good choice. And I liked the first 3 quarters of the movie was my favorite. I liked it up until they had to go fight Enchantress. But up until that point, I just thought the soundtrack was awesome. The character portrayals and how they animated the movie, where it showed all their little files and just giving us a little synopsis of who they are and what they've done. I just thought all of that was fantastic for the first 3 quarters of the movie.
Yeah, and there's a lot to like. I feel like there's mostly the characters, like you said. I think that the characters were so true to the comic, to the original source material. They just starting off, I think my favorite character would be Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie. She embodies the character of Harley Quinn so well. It's like she's straight out of the animated series.
Yeah.
Except she has tattoos and she's a little grimy, and but they did show her this. We're going to have spoilers, of course, but they showed her in her Jester costume, which was very unexpected.
Was cool.
And that tribute to Alex Ross, kind of their dancing, I guess.
Cover.
But she had all the catchphrases. She nailed the Brooklyn accent, which I did not expect her to have. That they didn't show that in the trailers, and they just stayed so true. Even the Joker, even though he was wildly different in his aesthetic with his tattoos, and I initially didn't like the tattoos when I first saw them.
Right.
Because they were all just, it feels like something like a fan of the Joker would put down ha 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 and all that stuff. But even the damaged one, that one really made me question, why would they do that? But seeing it on film, it worked. It worked so well, and he's pretty much, I think he's the closest, or the most true to the original source of a Joker, because in the past, Heath Ledger was kind of like the anarchist Joker. He wasn't gonna dipped in a vat of acid or anything like that. Jack Nicholson, of course, was close, but and his gangster in that era. But we have a gangster here, a gangster Joker, a mobster Joker in this era, and it translates so well.
Yeah, especially since he's just so unpredictable. Like, I felt like out of the three Jokers, if I was in a room with one, I'd be the most scared of Jared Leto's Joker because he just acted like you didn't know what he was going to do. Heath Ledger's Joker is an iconic role, and he killed that role, but it was so different because you could kind of tell that what Heath Ledger's Joker would do if you were stuck in a room with him, but Jared Leto's, he was the scariest one, I feel.
And the more I think on it, the more I appreciate how they took a different approach to Joker instead of looking back on other things. Even though he's definitely inspired by other iterations of the Joker, I felt that it was just his voice was great because he was flamboyant and his voice kind of changed and it was menacing and it was kind of reminiscent of Mark Hamill's voice, I felt.
Yeah.
And his laugh was strange, but that was kind of what I've read that's what he went for because he doesn't have this loud, gregarious laugh, is what Jared Leto has said. So I enjoyed the laugh. I enjoyed everything pretty much about the Joker. So he did great. That makes it worthwhile, but we'll get into the cons a little later, but characters more the characters. Deadshot, Will Smith, he nailed it, and he made the character Deadshot compelling.
Oh yeah,
which I didn't think very much of the character before, and I thought it was peculiar that he would choose Deadshot because he's such a big star. But
it was cool to see that evident. Like he made Deadshot almost like a good guy. Like you rooted for Deadshot during the movie. Like, oh yeah, Batman caught him. Shame on Batman. Like you felt bad for Deadshot. Just after the movie played out, you just were just like, man, Deadshot was the hero in that. He's not a villain. He's the hero. But you have to remember that he's not. You know. Yeah, but I just thought he did so good.
Yeah, you could see him like with his conflict of his daughter and. Also, of course, with the bomb implanted in his neck, it makes him, choose to go with the team and protect Rick Flag, the leader, even though they were going to backstab him. But that's what made this such an awesome movie to see, and a very enjoyable movie is the character interactions and how they were so true to the original source material.
Yeah.
So. That is definitely a pro that we can agree on, and the action was good. I thought the action was okay, but I guess that'll just lead into our cons and what we didn't like. So, Brady, what was kind of the things that you didn't like about the movie?
My biggest complaint was the villain. I could see Enchantress when she was like dark and scary, and like at the very end scene after they destroyed the machine and it showed her like all in black and she was just teleporting everywhere. Like I thought that Enchantress was scary, and I thought that would have been a cooler villain than have her get her brother Incubus's powers and then build a machine and then have a doomsday device that was going to destroy the world. Like I don't think that's the route they should have went with Suicide Squad, at least not the first movie. I mean, maybe the second, maybe the third have an all-out doomsday device that they have to save the world. But the first movie, that's my biggest complaint, was having Enchantress be that all-powerful, I'm going to destroy the human race. So that was my biggest complaint. I didn't like Incubus, her brother. I hated him. I thought he was
didn't even know his name. I thought it was...
Yeah, I felt like he was just there. Like, he didn't do anything for me for the story.
Yeah, he was just some random guy too, just in the subway.
Yeah, and then like you're the film guy, so you know more about like editing and stuff like that. And so I wasn't trying to watch it for like the mistakes when we went and saw it. I was more just trying to enjoy the movie. So I didn't like see a lot of the editing issues, but that's because I was so happy and excited to be watching the movie. But like I'm gonna go see it tomorrow again, and so I'll try to like pick out what you're talking about, have more of a keen eye on that. But other than that, like my biggest complaint was just the villain in this one.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. Like the villain and how their first mission it shouldn't be saving the world. That should be up to the Justice League. I feel them with the world in the balance is kind of, it's overly done, and it shouldn't have been a Suicide Squad mission.
Right.
It should have been something like Black Ops, like covert and dangerous, of course, still, but it's kind of like maybe reminiscent of Assault on Arkham. They probably could have adapted that, but I like how they did something new, something different, but it was still kind of generic. But the villain, like the villain was kind of weak. Nothing against Cara Delevingne. I thought she did okay with what she had. I liked her form. She was kind of like the grimy, her like final form or whatever. She was kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Like dancing around.
Dancing, making the machine.
But, I hate picking apart movies that, that have a lot of heart. And this movie had a lot of heart, a lot of charm to the characters. I could tell they put in their all with this movie.
Yeah.
Even the director, I mean, you can tell with their interviews that, there's a certain camaraderie there. They really enjoyed making it. That's evident.
Yeah, and they made it for the fans and not for the critics. That's like what Margot Robbie, Will Smith, and David Ayer both said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So going into cons, and what I want to just reflect on is the editing. I thought it was choppy, and from what I heard, the studio kind of made a cut that was a little bit more audience for the general audience. I've heard that they cut out a lot of Joker scenes.
Oh yeah, I've been
like
hearing
tons.
that too.
The Joker was pretty much barely in it, even though he was strewn throughout the movie. His scenes were very shortened, and the Harley and Joker dynamic, it didn't really show his abusive side, which they probably cut out because the general audience wouldn't really accept that.
Yeah.
Domestic violence. But they did that in the cartoon plenty. But in here, they cut down the Joker a lot, which was upsetting, really. And
well, I feel like even though they did cut Joker a lot, I feel like it was still a Suicide Squad movie, and so they shouldn't have a ton of Joker in it unless he was like the main villain. Like maybe he goes after Amanda Waller, and that's why they have to go save Amanda Waller. Like if he was the main villain, then I could see like, okay, don't cut a lot of Jared Leto's scenes. But I think they wanted to make sure like this is a Suicide Squad movie, not Jared Leto, because otherwise he would have outshined everybody.
Yeah, and he almost did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the characters were all lovable, but I understand that he would. I understand Jared Leto would be upset about that, but you're right. I feel like they should have. I feel like they misused him. I feel like he should have just been like a short cameo, maybe just rescuing Harley in that one scene with the helicopter. Him just pop up, like it would be a surprise. No one would expect it. No one would know. But I feel like his scenes were so short that it kind of left me disappointed because the Mad Love storyline is just shortened to like a minute. It's just, him interacting with Harley for like a brief moment, and he's like, I need a machine gun, and that's it. And it's like one of the best Batman stories out there, especially Joker and Harley. I hope they explore that. I hope there's some kind of extended edition or they explore that in a future movie, but I felt very let down because of that. I feel like that should have been saved for another time. But editing was a little... That was my main concern, and then the villains, and then just the story was generic. Those are the cons. I feel like those are the cons.
Yeah.
But overall, I felt like it was a very enjoyable movie, and it didn't deserve all the critics trashing the movie. It didn't deserve that low of a rating from people. I
completely agree on that one.
So, I guess just our final thoughts here. Characters. Harley's my favorite. Joker was awesome. Deadshot was great. Captain Boomerang was
He was
awesome.
awesome. For the little teeny bits he was in, he was awesome.
Yeah, he was stellar. Like he's from Australia, so he's got the accent down. But he brought a lot of comic relief. And Rick Flag, Joel Kinnaman, he's a great actor.
I really liked him.
I liked him from The Killing. And even in RoboCop, I liked RoboCop, the newest one.
Oh,
Not a lot of people like that movie, but I thought he was great as Rick Flag. Even though I don't really, these characters are pretty much all new, and to people and introducing them. I felt that they did a great job introducing the characters.
Yeah, I feel like on some of them, like Katana's origin story, when they introduced, they didn't have a lot to tell, like who Katana was, or they didn't even say like who Slipknot was. He just showed up, and I was just like, oh, okay.
I love the introduction. I was like, this is Slipknot, a guy who can climb anything, and that's it. That's his introduction. Felt kind of sorry for that actor, Adam Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And it really shortened. They cut down his role. If there was anything else, they probably just cut it out.
Yeah. And then I feel like they could have done a little bit more with Killer Croc, like because he only had a couple lines in that whole movie.
And
but
the
I
lines weren't. You couldn't really tell what he was saying.
Yeah, except for the very end when he said "I'm beautiful,"
Yeah.
which was awesome. But I feel like they could have done a little bit more with him, given him more of a voice. Because I felt really bad that he only had like 3 lines in the whole movie.
Yeah,
and he was like
He's
the
charming.
hero who went and got the bomb, and so it's like, okay, you're gonna just give him 3 lines,
Mm-hmm.
But that could be editing too by Warner Brothers. Maybe he did have more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, that pretty much covers it, I think. And I think if we want to give our final rating, if I were to give it a rating as a DC fan out of 5 stars, I would give it 3.5.
3.5.
As a DC fan, because I thought they stayed true to the characters. I want to see more. I want to see more of the Joker. I want to see more of Deadshot. And by the way, I just forgot. There's several great moments in this movie, but one of my favorites is when Batman shows up.
That was awesome.
Hearing Batman say Deadshot encounter for the first time on screen, it made me geek out. I loved that.
I wish they would have like fought a little more and made it just a big old fight scene with those two. I think it would have been a lot more cool. But it was awesome to see Batfleck on the film again, or on the big screen again.
Because he's the perfect Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Really, he embodies the character just like Harley Quinn, and they've got such great actors here. They've cast so well in the Batman universe.
Yeah,
as well.
Their cast is always great. I just wish critics would see that.
Yeah, I'm probably sure they do. It's just they're too focused on the flaws of the, just the filmmaking process, I guess.
Yeah.
But people will, I think, oversee this and make it a success at the box office.
So. I mean, just this weekend they've killed it. So
yeah. So, and then if I were to give it a filmmaking like kind of perspective from like a critic, I would give it 3 midway, 2.5, just 2.5 out of 5 stars.
I think if I were to review it, I enjoyed it enough where the only thing I didn't like was the villain, and so I would give it as a DC fan a 4 stars because I thought it was just funny and charming, and that it was awesome to see all those characters on the big screen. And I don't think they did bad. Like, yeah, David Ayer only had like 6 weeks to write the script, but in that amount of time, he still wrote a decent script. And
very impressive. If that's true, if he was able to pull that off, that's great. Like he did the best he could, Yeah.
So I'd give it a 4. As a critic, I'm not that big. I don't know a lot about filmmaking and stuff like you do, so I wouldn't be able to give a rating that way.
I'm not a pro by any means, but yeah. I guess it's just all a matter of opinion, and I guess if you want to go with any critic, you just have to go with one you trust, And a lot of people did like this from from the DC fan universe, I guess Kevin Smith is one that kind of sold me. I was like, if Kevin Smith, he didn't like Batman versus Superman so much. So if he liked Suicide Squad, I was like, I'm in. I'm in. And I just want to say that the first 30 minutes, I was so in this movie. It was like, this is like, man, this movie was bashed by critics. And then the midway point, it's like, oh, okay, I can see why things went wrong.
Yeah, I think it was once they got into Midway cities when it went downhill.
Yeah,
for that movie. But I still don't think like I said, I think up until the point where they saved Amanda Waller, that mission, I think that from that point on is when I didn't like the film as much. But up until that point, if they would have just made a story where Joker was like after Amanda Waller because she had Harley, and then Harley has to choose between the Suicide Squad and Joker, and then Joker gets blown up and Harley's still alive, and then that's where it ended, like I would have been fine with that. Having Amanda Waller still be in control of Harley. We don't know what happens to Joker until the end credit scene. Like, I think that would have been awesome. And just cut out Enchantress entirely.
Yeah. So. It's hard to say, what went on behind the scenes, but it's commendable on what they were able to pull off. Because no one really knows how hard this is, to balance all these characters.
Yeah.
The immense pressure that they probably all face, like having Jared Leto follow up to Heath Ledger, who was so loved. And I thought he killed it. I loved his version of the Joker. And there's a lot to love and a lot to look forward to. They expanded the universe, and I look forward to more. Simple as that.
I'm excited for Suicide Squad too. I'm glad they already decided to start working on that before even the movie came out. So
can't wait for Ben Affleck's solo Batman movie.
That'll be awesome.
I'm sure things will shape up, and because critics love him, they love. He's a great filmmaker, so it's almost guaranteed. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up there. Thanks for tuning in once again. That was our Suicide Squad review. Tune in next time. We'll try and do these weekly. That's the goal.
I think next time's probably going to be a comic.
Yeah, we'll read some comics because there's plenty to read. There's plenty to talk about. So, but thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
See ya.